I'm here with two writers, Anaïd Haen and Jango Mathijsen, and this is quite rare in the world of authors. You're actually a writer's couple, am I correct?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we write together.
And you've brought three books that kind of are emblematic of the three genres or audiences that you write for. Who are the people that you write for?
Well, we write for our favorite genre to write for us is science fiction. So this is our science fiction story collection. It's got in Dutch it's called Azalens. It's currently being translated into English as we speak.
Nice.
It's got 20 stories, seven by Anaïd, seven by me, and six that we wrote together. And well, we've won major awards in Holland for our stories and a couple in English. The last story of the collection, we were finalists at Writers of the Future, which is well a big American worldwide story contest.
That must feel really good, right? To have that acknowledgement and to know that your story is recognized and appeals to people.
Yeah, that's always ecstatic. Every time you win one, it never gets old.
But in addition to science fiction, you also write children's book, if I'm not mistaken. And so tell me about the other two genres.
Okay, so for actually the genres that we write in are all genres. So we write from thriller to science fiction and fantasy as well, and we do that for all ages, more or less.
Yes.
And at Silkerspoor, our books are from 10 years until the adults. So 10 years is the children's age is our preferred age to write for, 10, 13. We like that. We did not write any young adult stories so far, but we're just into the children and then adults. That's
Right. So the book here is Koen and the brain hack. The brain hack, and the other one is this is not for children, I suppose.
So this is a real adult fantasy. This is our bestseller. It's called Decadentia, and you could translate it as decadent. It's a story about a young woman who loses everything she has due to a complot that's going on in the town where she lives, which has to do with the magic system in the town. And we always say it's a combination between the Three Musketeers and the Count of Monte Cristo, with a little bit of magic and a woman playing the head part. So that's
Nice. How do you switch between these genres and these audiences? Because that sounds to me like something that would put my brain on just on melting mode.
Well, actually, after we wrote Decadentia, that's a very real, very real life story. Although it's fantasy, but she goes through very terrible ordeals, and we spent 5 years writing the trilogy. We really had to do something lighter, so we switched to children's stories to basically
get rid
of Lily, which is the name of our protagonist, to get rid of her and or cure ourselves again of this dark fantasy world that we wrote there. So it complements each other, the grown-up stories and the children's stories. It helps.
And from what I hear you say is that writing, especially if you're writing these dramatic stories where your hero goes through a lot of painful moments, it also affects you personally.
It does. Yeah, we always say that in this case, this book, Lely, she got under our skin. So she was there for 5 years. We slept. We went with her to bed, and we woke up with her. And from the first start of the story, so when we came up with the idea until it was finished, it took us 5 years to have. It's a series of 3 books to have it complete, and then it was such a relief that, well, that the story ended where it ended and that she was fine. And yeah, but it was also good to let her go and to step into other worlds and to do other things and to think about other people. Yeah.
Now tell me, because I'm super curious, how does this work between a husband and a man and if, or a husband and a let me rephrase that. I'm very curious. How does that work in a couple when you write together? You're working on the same stories, and yet you're two different people, maybe with different priorities, different tastes. Do you fight about this? Do you talk about this every day? How do you find a common ground?
Well, we talk a lot about it, and we sometimes we on occasion we do have differences of opinion, but we never fight about it. We just talk it over, and then we lay out our points of views, and we have arguments. Lay out our arguments. This is the reasons that we think this is better. These are the reasons that I think this is better, and then always uh, um, sense dictates which point of view wins. But every story that we write together starts with us just talking it over and dreaming up a character, a world, um, a problem for the protagonist to overcome, and we ask each other questions. So for instance, we'll say, okay, what type of protagonist are we going to write about today? And then the other one answers, and then the other one says, well, what kind of world are we going? Are we going to write something in the future, something in now, or something in the past? It's going to be fantasy, it's going to be real.
That must be very cool to be able to just figure that out together. Because a lot of writers are solitary writers, and they often have to struggle with things all by themselves. You can just help each other, I suppose.
Well, in the stories we do together, but we also write individually. So then we know all the challenges because they are the same for us if we're alone, let's say. So in our solo stories, then we struggle alone. We do let each other read the stories first. So we are always our first readers. But there's a big difference between stories that are only mine or Django's and the stories that we do together. So I always say together we are a third writer. It's different. So we know both, but to write together is easier. You are faster. Often the stories are different from what you would have done on your own because you challenge each other a lot more. Um, the writing itself also goes faster. If you are with the two, then yeah, you can write faster. And
Obviously.
yeah.
And I'm curious. You said you both love to write for, let's say, 10-year-olds and upwards. Why why those kids? What do you like so much about it?
But the changes in your life when you are 9, 10 years old and you're not yet grown up. We say in Dutch, you are in between the napkin and the tablecloth. That's a Dutch expression. And I just love that age very much. And it just grown to us that we started to attend, I don't attend, to a story contest that was specially for that age. And then we were both very happy with it and we enjoyed it so very much that was more or less the where we hang on to.
How do you figure out what kids like to read and what their world is? Because it's obviously a different generation than what we are part of.
Yeah, you have to hold on to the child in yourself. So you have to be able to remember what it was like being a child. That's one requisite. And the other one is to look at the world now and how it's changed with when we were kids, and recognize that all these kids that grow up with cell phones and computers, it's a different world for them. So if you can join those two things, then you're able to write a story about it.
Yeah, and that is important for the stories in the here and now. But the historic stories that we've written or the future stories, yeah, we can think of everything, of course. So, but for the here and now stories, that's really important. Yeah. And everybody wants to be a hero, whether it's a child or a grown up.
That never changes. That's true. So we're here at an event where you also have the occasion to meet some of your readers and some of your fans. How do people react? What do they tell you?
Well, the reactions they are priceless sometimes, especially with our trilogy Decadentia. People that when we were in lockdown with COVID, um, the first installment of the trilogy was already out, but the second and third they had to wait because of COVID. And then when the festival started again after COVID, people were so thrilled to be able to come and buy the next installments of the story. They could finally read how the story ends. That's and we still have sometimes people coming to us. Oh, I've read the trilogy. It was so wonderful. That it's the reactions. They are really priceless.
That must be very gratifying because you write the book, but you're not certain about the reception, and then to hear that,
Yeah, it's always I still don't know what I like the most. That people first buy the first book and then come back on a later event to buy the other books. Or that people buy in one time the trilogy, not knowing us. So I'm really surprised if people do that. So I'm still not certain what I find the most honorable, let's say. I don't know if that's the right word in English, but yeah, it's a difference. But it is a very big compliment if people buy your book. Like today, we had a kid that bought our anthologies. We have 2 children anthologies, and then she came back and bought both our novels, our children's novels, and that's then you know that you're doing something right if people come back for the next book. So yeah, that's priceless.
and you know what? Writing for kids, you're giving children memories for life because you always remember the books you read as a kid the best. What do you hope that they will remember from those stories?
Ooh, well, we never give lessons. I hope not.
Always will keep a positive attitude, and
You don't want to be preachy to the kids.
No.
and learn to trust yourself. Um,
And we always we write in the books. Live an adventurous life.
yes,
Stay safe,
stay safe. Yeah.
or something like that. You know, do exciting things, but be careful. That's what I think. What we like to give. You know, don't be afraid. Stand up for yourself, for who you are, and don't avoid. If there's a problem, don't hide from it. Try to solve it. So yeah.
And instead of being preachy, also try that with the grown-up stories. Instead of telling people the way they should think about things, we try to make stories that make people think.
Yeah, that's it.
And then the nicest thing, these are 20 stories, and every time someone comes back and we ask them, what was your favorite story? Most people, they always come up with different titles. It's really surprising which stories that resonate with them the most. And then the things that they say, well, that really got me thinking about this issue, for example, about civil rights for robots. And then they say the things that they were thinking, and they come up with things that, well, we learn stuff about that as well. And that's the sort of things that we like. We like to get people thinking. And we do that with the children's stories as well, with the grown-up stories.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, and all the best for your writing endeavors. And I would tell you, stay adventurous, but stay safe.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.